Hey, Heart Healers, welcome to episode 3 of our Heal the Hurt podcast. Today we have a very special guest on the show. Her name, well, I know her as Monni Music, Monni Travels, Monni Does Everything, Monni Reads the Stars, Monni apparently writes songs, sings songs, Monni does everything. So, Monni, we were just chatting a little bit before we hit the record button. Do you want to fill the listeners in on kind of who you are, what your background is, what you do, where you're from?
For sure. Can do. Also, first of all, thank you very much for having me on the show. You are moving and shaking and baking something really, really cool for everyone's ears and hearts. And thank you so much for your work. And thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.
Yes, my name is Monni, and I'm a Danish Aussie, a Daussie of a sorts. I came to Australia when I was 5, and I've been going back and forth since I was 18, really. And at that stage, the world opened up to me, and it's different cultures, it's variety of people, the connections and disconnection that we have to one another as people on Earth. And what made this kind of puzzle piece together and come together for me was this travel essence. So I started my travel agency back when I was 22 years old. And I did that because travel had enlightened me so much in terms of how we are all little wanderers on Earth, all trying to figure out what on earth is going on. You know, why we're here, why do we do what we do? We've got this square structure of life and society, and this is what we're meant to do, but this is what we feel like doing. And we all have these emotions, but at the same time, right? So we are like all interconnected in this really special way of this life existence, which can be very confusing and very very exciting at the same time.
Overwhelming for a
So
lot of people, I guess, as well.
very overwhelming, definitely. And yeah, there's so much within that that I'm sure we're going to unpack. But uh, yeah, so I started my travel business. It was called Monni Travels because I was just a backpacker at the time with no money, and I managed to travel a whole heap of the world just through like, I suppose, believing in myself, but also trusting in people and the generosity and the kindness, and trusting almost like I didn't really realize what the concept of the universe, I suppose, was at the time, but I knew that it had my back in some way. I knew that I felt protected, and I felt supported, and I felt that life was just magic, which it really is if you have this the mindset for it. And I suppose, but believe it to some extent, then you experience the wildest of synchronicities and the biggest of loves, and a lot of challenges too comes with that. But so I might be rambling on a little bit
Well,
right
I
now,
think
but
actually what you're just saying there about challenges, because today you've been presented as you were literally just saying before we recorded. Your
yeah,
laptop has stopped working. You've got a gig tomorrow. You're currently, for anyone that doesn't know you or follow you, so you're living in a van. You're driving
yeah,
up the east coast of Australia, and you're kind of
yeah.
working remotely. So your
Yeah.
primary source of work has just
Oh my gosh, exactly. It's my computer, and she just izzled today. I put her onto charge, and I opened her up because I have this set list that I really want to make an impact on my buyer and fam tomorrow. They haven't heard me play before, so a little bit of nerves, like as you would know as a DJ yourself.
mhm.
And I open up my computer, and it's just not there. I can't do anything with it, and I've just gone, oh my gosh. But also when these things happen in the back of my mind, and this might just be like, this is like kind of how I look at things. I'm just like, okay, so what's up here? Like, as if, it was like a little movie, and someone up there just goes, here's something, what are you going to do with this? And you're like, all right, okay, all right, I got this. And I went to the Apple store. They can't fix it now. Called my mate here in Byron. Meanwhile, they have the parts. They can do it just in time because I need to go up to the Whitsundays on Wednesday and all this. And I was like, how am I going to make this all sort of come together? But so again, like, you figure out where you are, who you've got around you, what resources, but also besides all that, because you're so in it, but then looking at the big picture, you zoom out, to just this again little speck on earth. And again, that problem is so minute compared to so many others, and there are resolutions, maybe not in the time frame of what I would have wanted, but it's all gonna come together. And again, it's just that trust. And that's what I've had to, like, working through all those emotions today. It's not just like I've got, oh, it's everything's going to be okay. I definitely had a little moment of breakdown and overwhelm, but I'm here now in Byron with my fam, and everything's getting sorted, and it's all actually going to be okay. And it's just one of those things that you look back on and you're like, oh, wasn't that just a time? And
Mhm.
it is.
But at the
Yeah.
time, I think, and again, I was smiling the whole time that you were describing that experience about just the belief in the universe and all of these little things happening, just to, as you say, to see what we can kind of do to handle it or management. But
Yeah.
I think for me, my whole perspective on that, growing up, you won't really know anything about me, but growing up, I came from Northern Ireland. It's a devoutly Christian country, so it's like organized religion. So that sort of belief in, I don't know, in that form of spirituality that me and you would be sharing right now, and the belief that life unfolds for you, and it's not necessarily to do with like a Christian God or any God as such. It's just life
No.
unfolds. But I think, at least for me, and I guess for speaking on behalf of my fellow countrymen, it's hard for people, I think, and only for me recently, really in the past year, really in the past 3 months, that I've started to sort of put my belief in that. Surrendering, I think, is the important word. Surrendering
Yeah.
to whatever
Surrendering.
life
Yep.
unfolds for you. That everything, it's not, life is not fighting against you unless you're going in the wrong direction, but life unfolds for you. Life works in your favor. Life gives you sort of everything that you need, and it won't give you anything that you can't handle.
Mm. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. It won't give you anything that you can't handle. And the universe, energy, God, whatever you want to call it, will continue to challenge you like that, because it's the evolution of us. It's the evolution of our souls, which I like I my belief is, and to no religious perspective at all, but what I've come to understand is that we are not our minds, we are not our bodies, we are a soul having a human experience. And this soul is an energy that continues to transform, because energy never dies, nor is it created, right? So it just continues to move and groove. But for this evolution to happen, we must surrender to the challenges, adapt and overcome.
100%. I agree. Have you ever read the book Celestian Prophecy?
Of course,
Well,
Mr. Horse is one of my favorites.
I read that. I picked it up. My partner's been asking me to read it for months, and I just haven't done it. But I picked it up last Monday, and I had the book finished by Tuesday night, and it completely, like, honestly, it's completely shifted my entire perception of everything.
Yes,
That everything is
yes.
happening in my life right now, all the difficulties, everything. I've just moved home, and all the challenges of moving and deciding, oh, do I stay? Do I go? What's going to happen? It's like, doesn't matter. Everything that is happening
Mhm.
right now is meant to happen. Just follow those little coincidences and all these little synchronicities that pop up. Tune
Yeah,
into those, follow them, because that's where life wants you to go. And if you do that,
yeah.
then everything will turn out all right. I find it so cool, man. So cool.
It's so cool. It is so cool. And even in my kind of like distress today and like a little bit of like overwhelm, I literally was driving my van to Byron, in traffic, and it's all happening. And I was like, everything is happening perfectly. Everything is happening the way it's meant to be, and just reminding myself of that. One thing as well that I really like, that I've come to do, and that actually really works, is so I believe that we have spirit guides. I believe that we are like constantly surrounded by like energies that are there to give love and to look over us in a way. And I've begun to actually speak out to them. So whether it's like, and it can be like finding a park
Hmm.
to like to finding something that you've misplaced, or to finding yourself, or just to ask for guidance, or anything that you might be needing or lacking. And look, it might not happen in the moment, but you just like you release the thought or the sentence or the desire, and it will somehow like come back around within your day, to be like received. It's this really cool thing that I've started doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I would attest to the power of that as well. Like, and I wouldn't say it, I see it as spirit guides, but that's an interesting perspective. I see it, I guess, more as we have sort of guardian angels, and it's the same. You can just put, as long as you put the thought out
Yeah.
there, you physically, consciously have intention behind putting that thought out there, then the universe is going to bring that back to you at some point.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Also, if I can tangent on this for a sec too. So
Yeah.
in my during COVID, I went through, and I know some of your listeners may have done this. It was the Deepak Chopra's 21-day abundance, like guided universal meditation. And I looked into Deepak Chopra and all of his work, and he's unbelievable.
He is.
But within my meditations in the mornings, and the questions that I like to ask, and basically you ask these questions, and again, you don't wait to receive the answer, because the answer isn't within that moment necessarily, but it does come to you. So in the mornings, I'll do my meditation, sometimes out loud and sometimes just to myself. I ask, okay, so who am I? What is my purpose? What do I want for me and the earth? And what am I grateful for? And it's kind of these like four like mini like question sentences that really make a change to sort of like my perspective, like how I want to show up during the day, and also to how I relate to all of my stimulus. You know, what I say yes to, what I say no to, what I give my energy to. Is this serving me at this time? But yeah, who am I? Who he says, who am I? Who wants to know? What is my purpose? What do I want for me and the earth? And what am I grateful for? And if you're living in this space of gratitude and living to your highest self potential, then you're bound to have a great day. You know, then it's a great day to have a great day.
I really like that you were just saying there, as part of that meditation, he asks, what do you want for you and the earth? And for
Mm-hmm.
me personally, I think it's, we as a species are so disconnected from the earth and so disconnected from the fact that we are part of the earth and we're part of nature, that we
Mm-hmm.
just completely disregard that. I think for most people, they're just not even aware or have the perception to understand that we are just the same as the trees and the plants and the dogs and the cats and the pigs and the horses. We all came from the same place. We all belong to this. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel 100% it's incredibly important to also bring that energy of, I suppose, gratitude and care and kindness towards the earth as well, because it's where we live ultimately.
It's at home. It's
Yes.
at home, and it's as simple as that. And this is also where within my travel business and within what I'm gauging in now is like how we first of all connect to our earth, to our home, but also how we nurture and take care of her. So I've begun a lot of like waste-free processes. So in terms of dealing with like our plastic and waste problem and pollution, and if any, like this might digress, but if anyone is interested in understanding or knowing how in a day-to-day you can get back to source, get back to nature, utilize her, get rid of the plastic in your day-to-day, and you become so much more healthy and you save money. It's amazing. But that's something that I'm specializing in doing, like both at home, in the van, and then I'm going on expedition out to record this new Netflix program, which is going to be really exciting. But I think just in terms of the earth, what she's really asking us for is to show up as her, you know. And what would we want? You know, we want to get back to nature, get back to the source, get back to the naturals, you know. If we have that plastic pollution problem, if that bathtub is overflowing, right, we can pick up all of our rubbish all of the time, but as long as we continue to pour that water back in, like, and it overflows, we're still adding to the problem, right? So if your bathtub is overflowing, the first thing you do is not grab the mop and try and mop it up. You turn off the tap. So we've got to turn off the tap in a big way to minimize and also to, yeah, I just think get back to nature, get back to basics, and start to figure out that we all come from this source, and we need to utilize and understand her to, I think, make a change. And again, that's a whole nother segment and a whole nother topic, and we can talk literally for about
I
5
know,
hours, I'm sure.
but that's honestly, that's where my life is taking me as well. Like, I don't even use any products now that aren't all based from plants. I won't put any chemical based stuff on my skin or in my body, no fluoride in my toothpaste, all of that, because
Very
the
cool. Yeah,
earth has everything that we need, you know, everything, not even
exactly.
medicine. I just refuse to
Yeah,
take pharmaceutical medicine anymore either. Everything that we
yeah,
need here, everything to sustain health, wealth, well being, and life is all all here.
It's all there. Yeah. We're so far into this concrete jungle that we've forgotten how to maintain and sustain ourselves from Earth. You know, I went on this, I was actually in Byron Bay, and I went on a survival camp, and we learned how to like navigate from the stars, find water under the ground, and also how to humanely kill and prepare our own food. And it was super eye-opening, and it's part of the reason why I'm plant-based now as well, because I used to be a meat eater. And all sorts. I mean, we're programmed, and we get brought up with these concepts that are just, it's so natural, you know, like for kids now, it's like, okay, well, for like, you know, potatoes, they come from a plastic bag, you know, they grow there, but that's not the case at all. So yeah, my eyes were really opened to, like, first of all, like having to humanely kill and prepare our own food. That was really massive, because we had to watch a rabbit get killed, like in front of us. So like he wrung its neck really, really quickly. And I'm sorry, this is a bit graphic, but I couldn't watch it. And then I felt like, well, if I can't watch this food get killed, even though I'm eating it, then what gives me the right to sort of to eat it if I can't watch the process of it? If that makes sense. So that was like a big step into my cleansing of meat from my life. And this is back, I think, 6 years ago in Byron Bay, of course. Where else?
Byron, transformative place. I've been one time. I went July last year, 2020, July 2020, after a lot of really painful and traumatic emotional stuff. Like, incredibly, it almost destroyed me, man. But I decided I was going to Byron. I just felt sort of called to do it. And I spent 10 days or maybe 2 weeks there. And I came back to Sydney, and just my perception and everything changed. I had my first experience with acupuncture as well. I can't remember the name of the practice, but her name's Karina Dunn. She's in Byron Bay. She's like, honestly, man, whatever she did to me, that sort of awakened my understanding of energy and how there's more to this life than just this, you know, your skin and bones. Because everything in my mind and sort of reality just shifted. Just positivity, everything just started flowing for me again.
Nice.
I find
nice one. I've never done acupuncture, honestly, and I've been recommended it by so many people. So I'd love to dive in and try that. Maybe I'll do that while I'm here, honestly.
Her name is Karina. I'll send you after. Honestly, she was magic. Like, just really intuitive as well. Just does her thing. Just kind of knows what to do. I want to take it back here, Monni, because with me, we were talking before. Your journey so far has, to me, it's inspiring, and it's, I don't know, you've attained quite a lot of success, like professionally, artistically, creatively. At least in my perspective, maybe you don't agree, but I think it's admirable how you sort of live your life. So you told me before, you're almost 30. I don't know if anyone watching this will believe that, looking at her. She's almost 30. She told me before. I'm sure she won't mind me saying. But you started to travel.
I'm having a 30th birthday in Sydney, and you've got to come.
I'll be there. Sober, glass of water, but I'll be there.
No, of course. And you can have so much fun even when you're sober, man. And like, of course, I'm sure you like. When I met you, actually, I'd just done like a month sober, and as a DJ, it's like it's unheard of to do like a month sober during like the December, you know, like where it was just like absolutely hectic. But I love partying sober. It's like you get so much energy from the crowd, from people, that you just like, you don't even need anything else, honestly.
For me, I find the only difficulty I have now is that I can't, like the Bridge Hotel, for example, you know, you would be there from midnight until midday the next day. I can't do that now. If I even did it, I wouldn't do that anymore, because my body just can't stay awake that long, or I get sick.
So your body actually says no. Yes, like there's a cut-off point here, and it's not healthy either way. And this is why, you know, when you do have like those benders, like your body does, it needs to 2, 3, and even like a week later, you're just starting to find that energy again. And it's like, you know, how much time do you want to waste over like one pill or one night?
Yeah, I think it's important you bring that up, because that would probably be an interesting thing to sort of pick apart. Because especially in this culture, in the DJ culture, our nightlife culture, and even Australian culture and Irish culture, there's very much a big focus on how much you can drink, how long you can party, how many drugs you can take, and that makes you sort of like, I don't know, it makes you more of a man or a woman, or it makes you more accepted socially. But I think that's
Mm-hmm.
really important that you say that, listening to your body, especially at the times where you're sort of pushing past the point where you know your body really shouldn't be doing this anymore. Like say after a full night in the Bridge Hotel and then you go to Sash or something after, is at that point you probably be like, okay, I probably shouldn't do this. But many people still do, and they still push
Yeah.
through that. And I guess that's what I kind of wanted to hit on there. Why do you think people, when they feel their body sort of resisting this and that fatigue and the tiredness, why do you think they still push on?
Oh, it's 100%. So it's an essence of FOMO, the fear of missing out, and it's also a sense of like insecurity as well. It's not wanting to be alone, because by that stage your body is so in its fragile and
Mm.
vulnerable state that all you want like really is someone to sort of cuddle and like
Yes.
and talk to, even though you're inaudible at that stage and you're not making any sense. And for those of us that don't have a partner or somewhere to go or a sense of home, or there might be all sorts, like it's a form of escapism that becomes detrimental to your mind and your body as well. Yeah, I would say it comes down to that, the vulnerability, insecurity, and also the fear of missing out. Yeah, and it can be it's a big group mentality, or it can be a solo mission as well. Yeah.
I think the group mentality definitely has a big factor to play in it. I've always found personally anyway, if I was in that situation and I had the choice to either go home and go to sleep, I would. But if I was with a group of friends who were like, "Oh no, don't go home, just stay, have one more beer, or have one more line, or have one more of this," then it's sort of harder to say no. And especially back then, whenever I would have been sort of in that lifestyle and the taking the drugs and the partying, I didn't really have enough of a sense of self or self confidence or awareness of my own sort of ability to function without other people. So, as you said,
Hmm.
completely 100%, I would have been doing it because I didn't want to be alone. I didn't have a partner. I had no one to love me or make me feel better. I didn't love myself,
Hmm.
didn't like myself. So, I'll stay here and take the drinks,
Yeah.
take the drugs, and be with
Yeah.
people to sort of fill a void.
Yeah, have that false sense of security for just a couple more hours or a couple more lines, whichever comes first, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it. I've been a part of it, and I now, like, I DJ completely sober now. Like, I won't say that I am sober, like I so I've but what I know of my body, like, so I love to have like my glass of red wine with dinner, like, and not even every night. Like, it's been really awesome in terms of like my stage of sobriety, and then what I've introduced back, and also like my capacities now. Like, once I reach this, my body just goes like nuts, like it's, and then
Mhm.
I'm onto the soda waters and lime are honestly like a savior. And like traveling now in my van, and in terms of waste free, I have a soda stream, and my fridge makes ice. And so my sunset drink now is just like ice, a bit of soda water and lime. And for those that are trying to cut down on the alcohol or out, it makes you feel like you're still having this fizzy, like lovely drink, but there's no alcohol in it, and you actually forget. And especially if you're in like a good state of, like, with music or with friends, and you have that occupying company, you actually you forget that there's no alcohol, and you feel amazing the next day. So I'm capping myself right now to the glass of wine, and then I go on to my soda waters. And if I'm out, I might have like, two drinks at max, and then soda waters, because I do not want to like take away from my energy and my mental space the next day with a hangover anymore. Maybe I'm just getting older as well, like turning 30, and hopefully more responsible. My mother would wish. But that's just, so that's my little like trick of the trade at the moment. And also like out and about with mates too. And if they've got their beers or whatever it is, and you've still got a drink in your hands, you're not sort of seen as an outcast, or that person that like, why isn't she drinking, or whatever, if that is something that you're concerned about as a party goer. So that's definitely been my little trick of like soda water and lime.
I think that's what you were saying there about you not drinking, like you're not sober, you'll still party from time to time, but whenever you're DJing, I always, the entire, like from my whole time of beginning my journey of that in Sydney and launching Hidden Haciendas, and every set and every event was completely sober for me, because I felt, and again, I always respected other DJs who also did that as well, because that is our craft. It's, you're up there giving a part of your soul and your energy to everyone in that room. And as you were just saying, I fully agree. I don't want that to be corrupted or tainted by any form of external stimulus, because then it's not the true part of me that I'm sort of putting out there for everyone.
Oh, 100%. And also, like, you remember it. You remember it. You remember your set. You remember your transitions. You remember the
Sometimes good,
moments
sometimes
of,
bad.
like, exactly. Yeah, yeah. There's, yeah, few and far, sometimes in between. But it's so much more rewarding for me, and valuable, and like, and again, I mean, the stimulation of the crowd and the adrenaline, like, God, it's a drug in itself, you know, so much so. So yeah, that's it. It's definitely helped me a lot. And also, just in terms of our industry, there's a lot of DJs and artists going in that direction, and I don't know, like, whether COVID for me was just a real cleansing period. And I think also in comparison, like, the world as well, the world was fasting, the world was cleansing, and it was a real time to go inside and to figure out the who am I, and what do I enjoy, and who do I want to be around, and am I happy with all of these components in my life. And I've, like, traveling and speaking to a lot of people, especially in Australia. I mean, like, so you're over in Ireland right now, I
No,
guess, aren't you?
I'm in Sydney. Still
You're
in
in fucking
Sydney.
Sydney? Bro,
Yeah,
I
man.
thought you went home, and I was like, oh my gosh.
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, cool. Well, I'll see you when I get home then.
Yes.
Perfect. Like, for those of us, I mean, for those of us in Australia, I mean, God bless, like attitude of gratitude right there, because we are
Yes.
just in one of the best countries we could be in. But speaking to Aussies, as I'm traveling, and the people, like, non-Aussies alike, that are in this country, they were just like, I feel a little bit bad, because COVID has been one of the best times of my life in terms of having time for myself, and to figure out who I am, and to change almost these habits, that the structure, that square, and the busyness and the routines, that we were so accustomed to. And then all of a sudden we had the space to breathe, and to readjust, and to create this, like, this puzzle piece that wasn't a square at all. It was the Fibonacci sequence, of circles and magic and amazingness. And I think we just had a different picture to paint with different colors all of a sudden, and it was just a beautiful masterpiece
It was
of what
huge.
I've of
I
it
100%
was huge.
agree with that. Yes, that the planet and we needed that 100% in order for personal change and societal change, and not even just on a physical level, but consciousness level. The whole planet consciousness has sort of changed because of that. And I know for me, that breather, that break, that complete disruption to the normal way of living enabled me to explore this part of myself, this idea, the energy, the universe. It really allowed me to step into that and start understanding more about spirituality. It was always kind of in me, but I always kind of just rejected that it was real or true, because I came from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
The country was always in religious conflict. So to me, religion automatically meant negativity, war, conflict. But that's not what this is. It's just sort of believing that there is something here and it's happening just as it's meant to happen. But I think, yes, 100%. Anyone that didn't make use of this time, that 1 year, that full year break we had, I feel they've missed out on a once in a lifetime opportunity to really, as you say, go real deep in and find out
Mm-hmm.
who you are, what you're here for, and how you're gonna live your purpose of your life. And
I think so.
I think for what you're
Uh,
doing anyway, to me, it seems, as you said before, you're here to take people on a journey, be it through your
yeah.
music or with your travel agency.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Or just, yeah, on a journey of the spoken word and reflection of experience, that we all have. Because at the end of the day, we're all experiencing what this life is, but through different perspective eyes too. So I would say to everyone, any chance that you do get to express your experience or your thoughts, concerns, desires, with someone else, be it a friend or a stranger, like, creating a space just like this platform to have true, honest, real conversations about how you truly feel, who you are, who you want to become, I think is really, really potent and really important, because we can dance around, all of these questions, but, like, at the end of the day, everyone has moments of thinking about it. and wondering about it and being confused about it. And that's okay, because that's what we're here to experience, are all of those emotions within that. So yeah, find your tribe, person, people, find your podcast, find your source of inspiration, whatever that is. And hopefully this is a good platform to start, even though it's there's so many topics and we're so all over the shop. I'm hoping that there's like things to grab onto here.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be coherent enough, and we can always do it again, and I suppose make it more focused. Because I think, honestly, because I would just point out to everyone that is listening to this, the previous guests, and I suppose because I've already recorded a couple for after this as well, I would know them better on a personal level. So this conversation is the first time between me and you that this conversation has ever happened on this kind of level. Like, I've only
Mm.
ever known you as Monni the DJ, and obviously Monni
Yeah.
Travels, the travel agent. I haven't actually known about what you believe in or any of the stuff you've been talking about. And I find it so refreshing, because that's, again, and this just reiterates the importance of life putting on your path exactly what it's meant to, because
Mm-hmm.
everything that you're saying to me is it aligns exactly with what I see and believe. And
Yeah. And again, there's a reason why we reconnected on the dance floor at Sash that day, and you were telling me, and it was like, I just looked into your eyes and they were just the freshest, most excited, enthusiastic, cleansed eyes, like ever, and with no other like substance like behind it other than just being excited for life again. And it was so freaking cool. And I was so excited for you. And still am, like this movement is super, super cool. And like there's more and more hip hop happening with it as well. Like we're in a new stage of life. Like we're in universally, we are in the age of,
Aquarius,
we've come to the age of Aquarius from Pisces, which is a
my age.
2,000 year cycle. You're a Pisces?
I'm an Aquarian.
You're an Aquarian. Ah, the
Yes.
reformer, the humanitarian, the bringer together of community. Love that. And you would be just swimming in your own like essence and being like, wow, you know exactly what's up. And that's so cool. That is so, so cool. I love my Aquarians. And I love all of the people, all of the energies. But we're like, so we're in this new age of Aquarius from Pisces. It's just a 2,000 year transition, right? We're talking, stars and astrology now. And we've just had what was on December 21st in 2020. That was the Great Conjunction. And that was between Saturn and Jupiter, which was also really huge in terms of stepping into this new time and era and space. There's no real like date of like when we transitions from Pisces to Aquarius. It's sort of like within the unknowns. But there's definitely been several like sort of like pinpoints throughout this year. I mean, and COVID as a real catalyst for change as well. But we're sitting in this really potent like pot for change at the moment, led by this age of Aquarius, which is so it's all to do with your air energy. So air is thoughts, ideas, concepts, knowledge, analyticalness. And we're going to be seeing a lot of change within our air waves, like within technology, especially, which we've already been going down that path for many years. But we're also going to be seeing like change in terms of like the Aquarius humanitarian, ideals, good for the whole instead of just for the individual. There's a lot going on in the universe.
Because I remember you posted that video about the Great Conjunction, and at that point, I was kind of just opening my eyes, maybe in the past, like maybe 3-4 months prior to that, opening my eyes to the actual validity and power that the belief in the stars has. And especially, I suppose you've done a birth chart before, but for anyone who hasn't, you can, if you know your exact time, date, and place of birth, it gives you a more, and it's almost scarily accurate breakdown of who you are as a person and what kind of drives you, compared to just reading your Aquarius horoscope in a magazine or something. But this is actually, it was scary for me. It's like, whoa, this is ticking a lot of
Yeah,
boxes here. And you're like, wow.
yeah. And like so the question is there, why is it and how is it? And I've got a really cool example that I think everyone can relate to, hopefully. So for example, so at the time and place of your birth, you have like your sun sign. So your sun is within Aquarius,
Mm-hmm.
which is your general essence and identity. And then at the time and place of your birth, the moon, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, they're all also within certain star signs. So, and they all have like a personality trait in which they gather your like your entire self, I suppose. So the moon is how you do your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Mercury is how you communicate. Venus is how you love. Jupiter is how you expand. Saturn is how you retract and your karma. So, and I've missed a couple of planets out there, but essentially, when you've got like all of this sort of stack. So, for example, your moon might be in Cancer, and Cancerians, water signs, they are the most emotional of all of the star signs, and very, very homely creatures, and like but beautifully creative. So if your moon is within Cancer, you're naturally going to be a very emotional person. Essentially, this is like it's, and I'm being very general here, but speaking about the moon, so we've all experienced a full moon and the phenomena of like the lunar ticks, that come out, the crazy things that happen. And the reason for it is that the gravitational pull of the moon to the earth is at its height. And that's why we as people as well, we're like, as animals, we're like wide-eyed, kind of like, all right, like, in the animal kingdom, the predators, that's when they come out and they hunt. And for us as humans, it's when we either go out and we party, or we're experiencing some like form of physicality and like change. So I've been documenting the full moon for a while, and it's always like the biggest of like the physical outward changes happens around on a time of a full moon, whereas your new moon is all about like your internal thoughts and manifestations almost. So it's really, really interesting. But in terms of, if you don't really believe in astrology or what that has to give you, if you come back to just the general, everything is energy. And if you have this like gravitational pull, push and pull, and you realize like the changes of yourself within, say, a full or a new moon, then that's your basis of why it is that these other planets also have an effect on us. And why when they shift and when they move, as they always constantly do, we also are receivers of that energy, and that power and that change. And it's super, super, super fucking cool. And I'd like to finish like on like astrology wise, because I got so into it, man. When I studied journalism in university, and I didn't finish. I started a travel agency instead, and my mother really disliked that. But basically, so I got full into astrology instead, and I quit university because my teacher told me that if I was going to talk about astrology, I wouldn't be graded well, because astrology, like, there was no like bounds for it to actually exist or make sense. So I quoted this quote by Albert Einstein to her. I got so fed up. I was like, right, well, I'm quitting university, and this is what I'll leave you with. So Albert Einstein says, and I memorized it word for word, he says, astrology is a science in itself, and it contains an illuminating body of knowledge. It has taught me many things, and I'm greatly indebted to it. Geophysical evidence reveals the power of the stars in relation to the terrestrial, which is why astrology reinforces this power and is like a life-giving elixir to mankind. Right? So that's a big mouthful, but essentially what he's saying, like, astrology is like a life-giving elixir to mankind. If we understand the stars, if we understand who we are in relation to the stars, we are able to prolong our life to immortality. Is a life-giving elixir to mankind, because energy, once again, coming back to energy never dies, it just transforms. And we're all living and working within what is the unified field. Right? So if we come to understand that we are just energy, and everything around us is as well, and it constantly shifts and changes, and again, going into that challenge, going into that adaptability, and going into that evolution of new, then that's when we have a community of souls that are evolving for the better, and for the understanding that it's all happening the way that it's meant to be.
I'm sitting here, honestly, man, just my smile's cheek to cheek just listening to that, because it's so true. Like, it's actually just hitting me like right in the heart. I'm like, wow. And you spoke so articulately there. I can't believe that you were able to recall that quote word for word without hesitation. I think that was the most impressive part of all that, not considering all the rest of the information you included. That was unreal.
Thank you. I've like, it's stuck with me since. I have a kind of strange, like, not strange, I suppose, hopefully beautiful mind for memorizing stuff like that. But yeah, I just remember, like, I literally I was sitting in uni, and she just goes, well, you can present about astrology, but you're not going to get graded well. And I was like, I'm not sitting in an institution where I'm being told what I cannot, like, what something that has inspired me to be a better human being, you know, that's not great being graded well. And I was like, no. And I put my foot down, and I marched on out of there with a quote by Albert Einstein. And I said, see you later, you know. And like, that's my story. Like, university, great. Honestly, the structure of it really works for some people, but for me, like, at that point in my life, I said no. And that's when I started everything from like the travel business that then led on to, you know, like the DJing now, and the journey of the mind. And like, again, I think just a trust, you know, for the universe, in that everything was going to be okay, and everything was going to be as it was going to be. And my mum still hopes that I will go back to university and hopefully get some kind of a degree, but I think I'm just going to continue to study life, Mum. I'm sorry.
I'm sure she'll understand one day. I think it's really interesting that you bring that up. And I guess the word, I know at least when people use this word to describe what I speak about or what I do, it's sort of, I'm a bit like, well, I'm not doing it to have this adjective attached to my name. But I feel at that age, especially because you would have been, what age would you have been when you left uni? 20, 21?
22. Yeah.
22?
21, 22. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And that's when I started. I started really late as well, because I've been traveling.
yeah, I think it's brave, man, at that age to step away from, because going to uni, you go to school, you graduate school, you go to uni, then you get a job and you work in an office 9 to 5 for the next 50 years until you retire and get your super or your pension. I think at that age,
Yeah.
that's incredible, man. I know, at least for me, that is not something I would have ever been able to do at that age. I could not see beyond what was already laid out in front of me based on my family's expectation, school's expectation, and society's expectation. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
incredible at that age, at 22, to be able to say, nah, I'm breaking out of that mold and I'm going to go my own path.
Yeah. Again, like, it was just so strange, because I felt like there was no other way. My body was just being like, like, pulled out in so many different directions. It was also like, at the time I was working for a different travel agency, and essentially, like, I made this big sale. I sold 60 people on a boat, and they promised me all this commission, and it never came through. And then I was just once again kind of reaffirmed by universe, people around me, little synchronicities as well.
Mm.
And it all puzzle pieced together for me to be like, you know what, no, I got this. I'm going to break free from university, and I'm going to start my travel agency in the light of how I've always seen, like, travel to be done. And yeah, and you know, like, to be honest, so like, it didn't really work in the sense of, you know, money success at the start.
Uh-huh.
Like, I fell like 15 grand into debt, and like, you know, I started my own business, and I didn't have a degree, and I wasn't sure entirely, like, you know, I was going to replicate what I'd done, but then, you know, it was the wrong time of year, and I gave too much away for free, and I priced it wrong, and all, like, et cetera, et cetera. But then also, at the end of the day, what I've realized is that I learned so much from that experience. And then I did it the next time, and I sold it out with 80 people, and I actually made money. But the money was never like the big part of it either. Like, it was just like, it was the essence of taking people on this trip and changing their lives, which I actually managed to do as well. I was on the sunny coast, and I saw some of the people that were on my first ever little Monni Travels trip, and they still remember it as like one of the best trips of their lives, and one where I really just like gave so much love, and like out into just, you know, exploring like the earth and wandering, and like we had little circles of like just partying, and but like questions, and a lot of people, I think, really like found themselves, you know, at that stage of life. And that's all like I really wanted to do. So like, again, didn't make much money, but I made what I believe was like an impact and a difference. And in terms of what success is, like that I was stoked on that. My mom, on the other hand, was like, are you going to need my credit card for this debt, or like, what's going on? And I was like, I'm sorry, you know. But yeah, like, live and learn. And then I ended up, my travel business was like nominated for best travel agency in 2018, I think it was.
Wow.
And you know, yeah, and it just, by there was the tourism Australia award there. And so, and it shifted and changed so much. And now also obviously includes like the DJing and events and whatnot. But yeah, at the end of the day, money is not the make or break, ever. And where there's a will, there's a way as well. I would
It's
say.
funny you say that because Monni is literally your name as well. I just find that
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. People often like they're like money, 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 and I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Monni!
give some to me. Like, yeah,
Yes, give
money.
some to me too, please.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously, right? Um, yeah, but God, it's just it's really not the be all end all. And this is where like in my travel business, I literally had a hitchhiking map for the people that really wanted to see Australia but didn't have any money. And I'm like, right, here's where I've hitchhiked from. Here are my people. Here are the couches you can stay on. Here's
that's
where you can get free food. Yeah, exactly. Like, and oh man, like the people that really have that wanderlust in them and that really want to do it. Slash, it's the getting out of the comfort zone, and that can be really addictive too. Um, but that's what I would like say, if it's scary and exciting, do it. If it calls to you but it makes you a bit nervous and you retract a bit, but like you really want to still do it. If it's just exciting, then you're operating on adrenaline. If it's just scary, then you're operating on fear. But if you've got those two components together, then you go hell for leather, and that's where like a big amount of change sits too, I would say.
I agree wholeheartedly. Just beyond that feeling of fear and I don't know, unwillingness to change is growth and evolution. Like I remember when I started hidden haciendas and like not confident in my own ability. I didn't believe, I didn't really have any expectation from it, but I remember setting up my first event playing at on Milk Beach for one of my friends' leaving parties. It was just really spontaneous and random. And then it just, I don't know, everything just started like clicking. It's like, and I didn't have an
Yeah.
understanding of the synchronicity of the universe and life and how just everything flows when you're going the right direction. And then obviously
Mm-hmm.
you would have seen the sort of success that we managed to attain in that really short space of time. It's just because everything was just, I wasn't trying, like, it was just all happening
It
through
was,
me.
yeah, it's flow.
It
You're
is.
in flow. Yeah, you are meeting the vibrational frequency of
Mm.
the way the universe wants you to go, and you're in flow. And that's a really, really beautiful space to be. Just like this, I feel like it's just like boom, boom, and this and this and this. And we're just like, we want to continue to share so much. And that's us in flow too. So yeah, in terms like of finding like so find your flow.
Excuse the technical difficulties, guys. The laptop just ran out of storage. So we're back now. And Money, we're just going to let you conclude here because, as we were just saying, I think we could have this conversation for several more hours, to be perfectly honest, not just an hour. So,
For so many hours, and I've got so much more that I would love to share, and care. And yeah, I've got like dream interpretations for you guys. I've got chakra like findings, and there's, oh man, like again, life is just this like giver of inspiration. And but also like it is also a giver of like these challenges. And I think, well, from what we've been speaking about, like the entire journey, and who we are and what Earth is and what the universe is and why we're here and how it all fits together. And the thing about it is that I don't really know yet or have all of the answers, but what I do know is that it's magic, you know? And if you are sitting in a space of darkness, of challenge, know that it's part of the process. Know that it's part of the entire puzzle piece and journey that is you. Um, and and if you are, then coming back to self and finding what it is that.
excuse the technical difficulties again, guys. This is only my second time recording a podcast via Zoom. And as it ran out of storage space halfway through the recording, when we just cut it before because it stopped the recording, it didn't save the rest of the clip that me and Monni were having, and it cut her off at a quite inopportune time. So, Monni, if you're watching this, I sincerely apologize that this has happened. But as you said before, earlier today with your laptop, this is all happening exactly how it's meant to happen. This technical difficulty happened just as exactly as it was meant to happen for me as it was for you. And I think it's actually a really important point that allows me to raise that when I was running my previous business with Hidden Haciendas, focusing on DJing and events, I was highly perfectionistic and highly focused on getting everything 100% right. And if it wasn't 100% right, I would criticize myself and blame myself and pull myself into this really negative, dark, and low place of self-beration and criticism and guilt and shame. All this stuff that I'd internalized growing up in regards to failure. I'd grown up with a critical father, and this isn't to lambast him. I grew up in a home that sort of demanded the best from you, and anything less than that was never good enough. So I think it was just really important for me to highlight here that I have came a really long way to be able to sit here and still publish this podcast, even though there has been two glaring mistakes that have been caused primarily by me because I've been too lazy to take the time out of my day to go and buy a hard drive and free up space in my laptop. So I just want this to serve as a lesson for anyone else watching this, or anyone else who's maybe perfectionistically driven in their mindset and outlook in life, that it's okay to make mistakes, and that if something like this happens to you, put it out there anyway, because whatever happens in your day-to-day life, and again, this is all in alignment with what myself and Monni have been discussing, and I'm so thankful to have had that conversation with her. Monni, again, I really am, and we were saying before the rest of that clip cut off that we will 100% have her back on again. It's a conversation that could have continued if we weren't both pressed for time. So I hope everything has been, I suppose, insightful and enjoyable for you guys, and it's maybe opened your eyes to a different way of perceiving life in the world. And again, I'll link all of Monni's socials, etc., so you can sort of see what I see and how she lives her life day to day. She truly does live the life that she wants to live, and I think that's really admirable and inspiring. And I know for me, it sort of pushes me to continue to build this so that I can continue or get to live the life that I want to live. So anyway, guys, as always, with peace, love, and joy, I will see you again soon. Goodbye.